Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Councillors assembled here today. We have 5 of 7, which is quorum. Welcome to all. Welcome to administrative staff in the quorum room today and members in the gallery. Welcome to those who are watching live on our Zoom link and to those who will watch later on our YouTube channel. It is July 7th, 2026, 1:30 p.m., and I will call this regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Jasper to order. Councillors, you have today's proposed agenda. Are there any deletions, additions, or other changes to be made to the agenda? CAO given.
Mayor Ireland, you make that call to council members, so I hesitate a little bit, but administration would like to request an addition to the agenda. We'd like to add the JRCC progress update from July 7th. It just wasn't available prior to the publishing deadline on Friday, so it wasn't able to be included on the agenda. We'd like to ask if council would be willing to consider its inclusion for today. We'd suggest that it could come as the first item under new business.
Thank you for that. CAO given. In the absence of any other suggested changes, I would look to a councillor to make a motion that we add the JRCC update as first item of business under new business. Councillor Melnick? Thank you for that motion. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried, and I would look then for a motion from a councillor to approve the agenda for today's meeting as amended. Councillor Frechette, thank you for that. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. Before I go further, it has just occurred to me that although we're a week into the month, Councillor Frechette has now completed his duties as Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Roger has now assumed that position. I'm sorry, Cable. Councillor Conscrute has completed his duties, and Councillor Roger has stepped into the position of Deputy Mayor. Councillors, we can move to agenda item 3, approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes for approval, beginning with the minutes of the regular meeting of June 16th. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections required to be made to those minutes? Seeing nothing, I would look for a motion that council approve the minutes of the June 16, 2026 regular council meeting as presented. Deputy Mayor Roger, thank you. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. We also have before us the minutes of the Committee of Whole meeting of June 23rd. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections required to be made to those minutes? If not, I would look for a motion that council approve the minutes of the June 23rd, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting as presented. Councillor Conscrute has made that motion. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. That takes us to agenda item 4, delegations. We have no scheduled delegations, but at this point in our agenda at regular meetings and at Committee of the Whole, we welcome individuals from the gallery to come forward and present to council on any matter on today's agenda. And I will survey the gallery, and I see no one making their way up to the microphone. So I will say we have no delegations for today, and we can move to agenda item 5, correspondence. The first matter there is a letter from the Jasper Employment and Education Center dealing with the Rural Renewal Program. The executive director of the Jasper Employment and Education Center has sent regrets that she cannot attend today, but if there are any questions to go back to her, those can be conveyed. And CAO Given, do you wish to speak to the matter?
Yeah, Mayor Ireland, maybe just to provide a bit of a brief overview, certainly won't speak for the Education Employment Center, but just wanted to highlight why the letter's here for council and for the community. The Rural Renewal Program is a provincial program that's designed to support rural communities like Jasper experiencing workforce challenges, and it creates essentially an immigration pathway for eligible non-Canadian workers to work towards permanent residency. In 2022, JEEC entered into a contract with the province's Jobs, Economy and Trade and Immigration Ministry. So this is a JEEC delivered program. At the time, I believe the municipality needed to provide a letter essentially saying that Jasper should be a part of the program. At that time, the municipality appointed a council member to serve on the committee that works in support of the program. But that really is the extent of the municipality's involvement. I know that council members in the municipality from time to time receive emails from folks that are looking to participate in the program, and it seems like there's a bit of a lack of clarity about what the municipality's role is. And so just to be abundantly clear, the municipality doesn't have any direct role in immigration matters or in the delivery of the Rural Renewal Program. JEEC, the Education and Employment Center, for their part, their responsibility really was around issuing and updating endorsement letters. And an endorsement letter is a document that is required under the program by a designated community organization, which in this case is JEEC, to verify that a worker and the job offer that the worker is seeking meet all community-specific requirements. So the idea would be that there's somebody that says, yes, this person and this job are needed in this community. And that's essentially what the endorsement letter is. Anybody who receives an endorsement letter does not get citizenship or create an ultimate pathway to citizenship. It's a part of a process. From there, it's actually the province who goes through an expression of interest point system, which considers a whole range of other factors, including education, language, work experience, age, family connections, a bunch of other things. So the letter that JEEC provides to applicants is one minor piece of the ultimate program. And since 2022, the program's changed quite a bit. The major change has been that in January of 2026, the province identified that they would start to give communities annual allotments, limiting the number of candidates who would be invited by the province to apply. So before, it was sort of an open system. Anybody can apply, and however many people get letters of endorsement from the community can now take part in this evaluation system. It was essentially unlimited. The program struggled with a number of communities choosing not to participate because the system was really overwhelmed with people applying. And I think that led to the provincial program change where they said, okay, rather than just unlimited applications, we're going to allot a certain number of applications to each community. In Jasper's case, for 2026, the province said the maximum number of people that would be accepted for consideration by the province was 9. And so at that point, the Education and Employment Center noted that they already had 34 individuals who had received endorsement letters to that point. Again, remembering that that's only an endorsement. It's not a certification or anything like that. It's just an acknowledgement that this person and this job match the community's needs. So there was already a high number of people in the queue, so to speak. And I think the Education and Employment Center wanted to highlight that they have been facing some challenges with respect to whether they should just continue to issue unlimited number of letters, even though they know that Jasper's allotment of positions is only 9. And they wanted to ensure that the public is aware that the Education and Employment Center ultimately isn't making the decisions about whether or not somebody is able to participate in the program. That letter of endorsement is just one part of the puzzle. On the final page of the letter, you'll see that they do have a couple of specific actions that they're asking council to consider. First, council could consider appointing a council representative to participate on the Rural Renewal Committee. Previously, that was Councillor Helen Keller MP. And with the program somewhat paused and the committee not really serving a meeting, I think there was a recommendation in the past from Councillor Keller MP that the municipality not participate in that way anymore. And so that position has been vacant. In fact, I think it's been removed from our list of council appointments. So JEEC is saying if council wishes to be more involved in understanding the program or participating, a way to do that might be to have somebody participate on the committee. And then the second would be to submit correspondence to the provincial ministry that's responsible to request consideration for an increased allotment for Jasper in 2027. So right now, the province has said the maximum number of seats that would be given out to Jasper is 9, even though we have 34 in the queue. If there is demand, council might wish to advocate to the province that more slots should be allocated to the Jasper community in the upcoming year. The intention, I think, was to provide council with some information, knowing that you may be hearing from members of the public about this, and then to offer a couple of ideas about if council wanted to be more involved in either supporting the program with the province or participating in the program. There's a couple of ways to do it.
Thank you for all of that, CAO Given. Are there any questions from councillors? Councillor Frechette?
Thank you, Mayor Allen, and through you to CEO Given. Do we have any indication? I realize that Councillor MP is not here any longer, but do we have any indication as to why she felt that council should not be participating in this selection process? Or
yeah, Mayor Ireland for Councillor Frechette. I think my general recollection is that the committee met, it was just a steering committee, so the committee doesn't review applications or it's not a working committee. So it met relatively infrequently because the program was sort of up and running. And at that steering committee stage, there wasn't a lot of work, so to speak, for it to do. In the letter, the executive director for JEEC identifies that they anticipate the committee would participate in program evaluation, not individual application evaluation, and consultation as needed, which might be 2 to 4 meetings per year. So it met relatively infrequently. It was not particularly direct to the operation of the program. I think the context has changed now that there's these reduced allotments and a question about what the program should do going forward, given that it's a limited number of seats available.
Thank you for that, CEO Given. And I suppose in the absence of the representative, Ms. Stolfa, I guess we don't know if those allotments have been processed. I guess that's something that we won't be able to get from that organization.
Mayor Ireland for Councillor Frechette. Well, in going from the content of the letter, there were at least 34 people holding endorsement letters, so local endorsement letters, and there were only 9 allotments available. So that says that there are probably more people that are able to be considered by the province than there are spots available. And once the endorsement letter is provided by JEEC, the local involvement in the process ends. Then it's all up to the province. So there's already a queue.
Right, fair enough. Thank you for that, Director.
Deputy Mayor Roger.
Thank you, Mayor Ireland. Through you to CEO Given. Is 9 spots for us fair on a per capita basis based on the rest of the towns in the province, or are we under or over? Do you know?
Mayor Ireland for Councillor Roger. I can't speak to the specifics of that, as the municipality hasn't been directly involved in the delivery of the program at all. I can say I'm aware that many communities over the last few years paused their participation in the program. And my understanding was that they were seeing the same sort of thing of more applicants than the province had slots available. And I don't get a sense that that's changed at all. So I think that there has historically been overwhelming demand, and the number of seats allocated across the province has been inadequate for the demand across communities. But I don't know how this sort of a new process of allotting a number of seats to particular communities, I don't know where Jasper lines up in that mix. That's a question that we could ask.
Councillor Consford.
Thank you, Mayor Ireland. I've done quite a bit of research on this, and I've been was down talking with some of the workers yesterday, and I don't know Jasper compared to other places, but I believe Jasper does meet all we can do for the workers to get their permanent residency. So, like, I'm into being part of the committee or having someone represent us on the committee, or advocating to the province to maybe raise that number. Like, I think it was 36 actually that have applied and that were endorsed. And out of that, like only the 9, but there just seemed to me to be a lot more that would have applied had the restrictions not being implemented. Thank you.
Mr. Given, do we know the other members of the committee? The penultimate paragraph of the letter indicates that there are representatives from social and economic organizations, which had included a council member but no longer does. It seems to me that there is broad interest in the community in this program. It has more impact on business, I would expect, than the municipality directly, but they're all our residents. It also appears that there won't be another meeting until the fall, so we have a bit of time to get this organized. But I wonder whether we might be able to refer this matter to administration to return with a report for council, so that, and a recommendation, and on that basis we could reconfigure our committee appointment schedule and appoint somebody if we decide to do that. But it appears that administration is far more knowledgeable than is council with respect to this item for now. But a report and a recommendation, I think, would go a long ways to clear the path for us to do something in the future, and certainly before fall.
Mayor Ireland, again, appreciating this is the first time this has hit the council table, it would be completely reasonable for council to refer it back to get a perspective from administration. I've heard a couple of questions about who else might participate in the steering committee, how many seats are other communities allocated. There might be a few other questions that we could raise and put in the context of a report. As you mentioned, council regularly makes and reviews committee appointments at our organizational meeting, and so administration could seek to turn around something prior to that so you could have an indication.
Councillor Melnick.
Thank you, Mayor Ireland. And further to your request to administration, I would like to request administration to see how our counterparts down south are doing with this program, especially Canmore, Banff, Sylvan Lake. I'm gonna also throw in our friends in Drumheller, our resort communities around the province that the province seems to view as resort communities, and how they're being treated in this program. It may be interesting to see that we may be disproportionately low in the number of participants compared to our other counterparts in the tourism sector in the province. And I would sincerely like to see us have the ability to request the province to increase it substantially, as I believe the program, if we have 34 people who are interested in the program and we only have 9 spots, that indicates it's a good way for people who are here already to be able to continue work in Jasper and strengthen our workforce.
I might look to a councillor then to make a motion directing administration to review the matter and return to council with a report and recommendation sometime before fall. Councillor Melnick.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would make that recommendation based on your comments and the comments I just made about having a robust report about how we can move forward to solicit the province to increase our allotment.
Thank you, Councillor Melnick. Is that sufficiently clear for administration? The motion that Councillor Melnick adopted? You could. Any debate on the motion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. And for completeness, perhaps we could also have a motion to receive the correspondence for information. Councillor Frechette, thank you for that motion. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. We have a second piece of correspondence before us, agenda item 5.2, pertaining to celebrations with respect to this building. Hard to believe that it's now been 10 years that we've been conducting council meetings in this quorum room. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding the letter from the ACFA? Go ahead, CAO Given.
Mayor Ireland, I just bring to Council's attention two requests that are embedded in the letter. The groups that are participating would like to invite council members to participate in the event on October 2nd from 6 to 9 p.m. So that's one specific request. Will council participate in that celebration? And to request support deemed as appropriate by council. So basically saying, is the municipality willing to participate in this event by having council members there? And is there any support the municipality could offer in terms of that event? If you want to, there's sort of two requests. Council can confirm whether they want to participate. And number two might be to refer, the concept of the municipality providing support, which I would imagine would be gift in kind or some sort of operational support. That request can be referred to administration to work with the organizers.
Thank you, CAO Given. Is there a councillor prepared to make a motion along those lines? Councillor Melnick.
Mayor Ireland, I'd make that motion, and I'd also make the observation that in a future meeting of the Rotary Club, this particular topic is coming up, and it looks like the association, ACFA, is soliciting support not just from the municipality, but other organizations that enjoy the building that we have here. And I'm sure that over time there'll be a little bit more robust request for what will be done on October 2nd. I fully support administration working with ACFA and if there is a working committee to organize a celebration of the 10th anniversary of this building.
Thank you, Councillor Melnick. For clarity, then, the motion is that council signify its intent to participate in the event and otherwise refer the request for support to administration to report back to council.
Yes, and if we need or we can also receive the correspondence for information at the same time.
Thank you for that. Does any other councillor wish to speak to the motion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. That takes us to agenda item 6, new business, and we shoehorn in the JRCC update.
Good afternoon, Mayor Ireland and members of Council. I'm Beth Sanders. I am the Director of Urban Design and Standards with the Municipality of Jasper, but I also serve as the co-lead with my colleague Emily Goldney beside me from Parks Canada, and we co-lead the Rebuild Team Working Group with the JRCC, the Jasper Recovery Coordination Centre. Today's update, JRCC update, also involves a deep dive from the Rebuild team. So I will be presenting the overview of the JRCC activities in general, and then Ms. Goldney and I will walk you through some specifics related to Rebuild. So on the debris removal front, you can see that progress is proceeding at a good pace. 100% of the properties in town are cleared of debris, and certificates of completion have been issued now for 97.2% of properties that were impacted by the wildfire. And you can see on our bar chart, again, great progress is being made. There remain 9 properties where soil sample reports have yet to be submitted to Parks Canada. And once those are submitted, they will proceed through the debris removal and the site preparation process that needs to happen before rebuilding. On the interim housing front, 420 households right now are currently in the program. And it's important to note that all interim housing units right now are occupied and allocated. In terms of unmet needs, there are 231 households that have identified to be in need of housing, and that represents 350 individuals. And the Wabasso campground remains open, and there are 34 sites occupied in the Whistler's campground. Those are residents. And you'll notice over the coming months that landscaping and tree planting activities are going to be taking place in town on the interim housing sites. On the social recovery front, planning is underway for the second year commemoration of the 2024 Jasper wildfire. And the Pathfinder program is on pause for the summer months, but it's lovely to note that 113 Pathfinders have been through the program and 23 youth navigators. And ongoing, even during the summer, the community spiritual circles will continue through till November of 2026. And Red Cross insurance and contracting navigation supports continue to be used heavily. And also you'll notice around on the interim housing sites that the garden boxes that have been created have been delivered and are being enjoyed. On the economic recovery front, 2 topics here, the interim industrial park. So it's reached full capacity for fire impacted businesses, and the pop-up village is operating now May through October. And you'll notice some placemaking and activation activities throughout the summer season. And we're going to switch gears now to focus on rebuild, which is recovery priority number 3. And my colleague, Ms. Goldney, will get us started on that.
All right, so the graph on the screen here displays all the development permits that Parks Canada has issued since the wildfire. It includes projects both inside and outside of the town site. For those who might be less familiar with our terminology, a development permit is the first step in the permitting process. It confirms that a project conforms with Parks Canada policies, acts, and regulations. There's 3 different types of permits displayed on this graph. The red is for a property that was fully destroyed by the wildfire. The yellow is for recovery-related projects, so that could include things like a siding change related to damage as a result of the wildfire, replacement of a damaged utility line, or projects ancillary to rebuilds like a garage. And then the blue are other projects. That could include things like some of the hotels that were not wildfire affected. Some of them are renovating. Some folks are building additions to their houses, and there are some new builds cropping up across town, like the JMHC building. As you can see from this graph, immediately following the wildfire, most of the permit applications we saw were for properties that were not affected by the wildfire or were initiating recovery-related projects. As the year went on, we started to see more and more applications for rebuilds and have been processing a fairly steady stream of rebuild applications ever since. There was a bit of a spike in applications this spring, as is common as applicants and contractors look to get their ducks in a row in advance of the summer construction season. I will highlight that this is a lot of permits that took a lot of work. We've issued development permits for 566 projects since September of 2024, and 250 through 2026 so far. For those of you who may be unaware, in a typical pre-wildfire year, there would be maybe 100 to 150 of these types of permits, so quite an increase in volume. The graph displayed on this slide demonstrates all the building permits that have been issued since the fire. As a reminder, a building permit confirms that a project complies with relevant safety codes. So a building permit is your permit that gives you the go-ahead to initiate construction. Again, fairly steady stream of permits. They drop off a little bit over the winter, as is common, and tend to pick up again through the spring. All right, over to our timeline graphs. Since the wildfire, we have been tracking permit turnaround timelines. We know that the faster permit applications are reviewed, the faster folks can return home. Through 2025, permit timelines decreased by 60% and have fairly steadily stayed low since. This is a really big accomplishment and took a ton of work. It was brought about by Parks Canada hiring and training 18 additional staff, working with builders to clarify expectations for applications, and making process improvements to streamline permit review. We like our 3 categories. On this graph, you can see 3 different types of permit applications. The green is a complete and conforming application. So an application where we get it, we receive it, and we can approve it first try, no back and forth needed with the applicant. The yellow indicates minor nonconformance. The permit might need a few revisions. There might be a little bit of back and forth with the proponent, but we can usually approve it fairly swiftly. Then the red indicates a major nonconformance, an application that needs variances or significant changes before it can be approved. The takeaway message, the thing we're hoping to highlight with this graph, is that high quality applications that conform to policies can be reviewed and approved faster. Incomplete or non-conforming applications invite back and forth communications, add time, increase workload, and can slow down the permit process for everyone else. All right, Mayor Ireland, last when we presented to you, you had asked for some graphs and we aim to please. So this graph indicates timelines only for rebuilds. And as you can see, timelines and trends are fairly similar. On the next slide, we have an overlay of timelines against permit volume. So the number of projects is the bars, the lines are our average timelines. The message or the thing I hope you take away from this graph is that despite our application volumes going up quite a bit in the spring, timelines have stayed relatively steady. All right, so our histogram indicates rebuild status over time, where purple indicates properties that have not yet applied for permits. Red, orange, and yellow indicate properties working through permitting and construction, and green are properties that have reached occupancy. Over time, our purple bar has continued to shrink, such that the purple is representing about a third or 33% of properties at the moment. We continue to monitor for factors influencing which properties remain in the purple category and try to offer support where possible. Folks like to ask why properties are in the purple and what factors those are. There are 374 destroyed properties across the town site and 374 individual journeys through recovery, to paraphrase CAO's Gibbons line. I liked it and I keep using it. Some folks are working through insurance, some folks are working through financing concerns, and many are working through difficult choices of whether to refinance, whether to stay, whether to move, if to build and what to build. So lots of different circumstances represented within that purple category. I will also highlight that 31 vacant lots have sold since the wildfire, and there are currently 5 individual residential lots, 1 apartment lot for sale, and 1 commercial leasehold for sale publicly.
This next slide represents a different way of looking at those properties in different colors. And we've got 2 snapshots of point in time. So on the left-hand side, there are more purple properties than there are on the right-hand side. So 6 months later, we're making more progress. And a reminder that the purple properties are those that have yet to apply for a permit. And once red, orange, yellow, and green are folks that are in the permit process, or if green, there's some occupancy happening on that property. So a home is rebuilt or a garage suite has been built. So just wanted to lay out the picture that progress is being made. It's in the bar chart, but it's also happening geographically here. And when it comes to some other numbers in terms of dwelling units, so for residential properties,